Oral Roberts has passed away at the age of 91 years old. He actually died of pneumonia. While reading his obituary, I found out that he survived a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. He fought tuberculosis when he was 17 years old. He had 2 heart attacks. He had a broken hip. I mean, this guy lived through everything.
Wow, Oral was a fighter, man.
Oral was a fighter.
Okay, and he's finally gone home to be with Jesus. But he was 91, lived a good long life. Mm-hmm. He had some financial ups and downs. Now, he thinks God cured him at 17. He went to a healer.
Right.
So, I mean, he's got right to be, like if you got healed of tuberculosis when you were 17 and apparently had a stutter and he got rid of that, then you might believe too. Makes sense. And then he realized, hey, you know what? No, I don't have the stutter. I'm good at this. And he would go to revivals in the tents. And then when radio and TV came out, he's like, booyakasha. This is how we make money. Okay? So he started doing this whole evangelical thing, and then they raised the money. And what he's mainly known for is he came up with the idea that if you give to his church, God will like you more, which is an awesome idea if you're looking to make money. Okay, but people bought it, and he made millions upon millions of dollars. And he started a university. Mm-hmm. He started a hospital, which then went under.
He started a law school.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Does that make any sense?
No, it doesn't, and you'd be crazy to go to his law school. Except that's exactly the kind of law schools that the Bush administration hired from. They went to like Regent University, to Oral Roberts, etc., all those religious schools, and they hired from their law schools.
That's really interesting.
Which is like, it's so scary.
Don't you have to have reasoning skills to be a lawyer and use logic?
I don't even want to go there.
Okay.
But then what wound up happening is with some of these schools and stuff that he'd set up, his son took over, and then they were all of a sudden in $50 million in debt, and we did that story on the show. And meanwhile, they're taking expensive trips for the family, for the son's family. They're using private jets. They're going jetting all over the world. And he's like, we're at $50 million in debt. What are you going to do? Mm-hmm. But you know what happened? This drives me crazy.
I know. This was the most interesting part of the story. So a rich businessman from Oklahoma actually donated $70 million. $70 million! That's insanity.
See, this is how all the conservative institutions survive. They talk smack about, they just don't know how to do anything. They don't know how to be funny, and they don't know entertainment. They don't know this, they don't know that. What are you talking about? If it wasn't for these mega rich, millionaire and billionaire conservatives, all these things would be out of business. Weekly Standard, New York Post loses money every year, the Washington Times, and I could go on, and including all these Oral Roberts institutions. They'd all be out of business except some, rich Christian in Oklahoma goes, Roberts, doing the God's work. Here, take my money because I'm a fool. And you spend it on more of your travel and your expenses and your jets. So now they're back in business.
It's the George Soros argument. As you know, they always project. That's why they're going so crazy. But this George Soros-funded organization, evil. Because that's how a lot of their organizations
Exactly. I mean, JR's got this projection thing down to a science. It's exactly right. George Soros doesn't fund most of the things on the left. I've never seen George Soros. I've never gotten a nickel from him, right? I wish I had, but I hadn't, okay? But I hadn't. But on their side, that's all they ever get the money from. All of a sudden, rich guy shows up and here's $70 million. But from now on, you're against taxes, okay? They're like, okay, where do I sign? And that's how it works on the right-wing side. So they put it all back together before he passed away, so he probably passed away fairly happy. Mm-hmm. Now, but that's not why we know Oral Roberts. We know Oral Roberts because of a very famous clip from back in the old day when Oral was talking about oral and other sexual liaisons. And he was preaching to his church about what they should and should not do. Let's have fun.
Put your arms around her. Put your hand on her breast. See how far you can take your hand. See how far she'll let you go. Go ahead, girl. Touch him at the most sensitive part of his body. There is one place in the woman's body and one place in the man's body that creates multiplication. They're not 2, they're not 3, they're not 4 places, they're not 10 places, there is one place. In the woman's vagina and the man's male organ. There's only one place in the woman's body
body.
where the male organ was designed to penetrate. The vagina.
This is dirty.
Dirty, dirty.
Only one organ made to bring forth life. It's the male organ. It's not in lesbianism where the tongue of a female goes into the vagina of another female.
He's serious, dude.
It's not in the male where the male organ goes into the part of the body where the waste matter comes out of the body that's poison, and he penetrates that part of the body in homosexuality. It's not to be put into the mouth of the man, or the mouth of the man or the woman on the male organ. It is the male organ penetrating the vagina of the woman, the male and the female. He says, look at the orifices of the body, the openings in the body. Certainly you can't put the male organ or the woman's tongue in the eye. Maybe touch the ear. Certainly not in the orifices of the nose or the navel. But there are a couple of three other places.
A couple of three other
There's
places.
the mouth.
Oh, yeah.
There's the anus,
Oh, yeah.
where the poisons of the body are excreted.
I love this guy.
You can put it there. They didn't know how to handle it. There was a fire that rose up in them. They didn't know how to contain, and everybody knows when the sexual arousal reaches a certain point, the person goes insane. A bull, after a cow in the heat, if he cannot reach the cow and there's a barbed wire fence between them, will go through the barbed wire and cut himself to pieces in order to impregnate that cow. I was raised on a farm. I saw it. Men and women go wild. And then when it's perverted and becomes homosexuality, it's not only wild, it is insane. And the heat becomes so intense, the sexual heat becomes so intense. The male organ doesn't want the vagina of the woman, but to turn that person over and to enter into the rear where the poison comes out. And it keeps coming out until they develop AIDS with no immunity against disease, and they, D-I-E, they die.
There you go. Right, that's it. That's it. That's it. Come on. Come on. How much do you love that speech by Oral Roberts? Now, look, the video is fake, obviously, but the audio is real.
Right, I know.
Okay, the audio is 100% real. He actually gave that sermon, okay? And I love, he does it like a porno.
I know.
He's like, and then you get so aroused, the male organ. And the vagina is not enough for you. And then you flip her over and you enter her in the rear. You're like, okay, Oral, take it easy, man. He said, where do you put it? In the orifices of the nose? I've tried, it doesn't work. Okay. And he's like, and then you get like a bull through the fence.
I know it because I lived on a farm.
And then homosexuality. And then the lesbians, they take their tongues and put it on the vagina of the other women. I'm like, Oral, what's happening? What else did you see on the farm? What's going on here? So that was a legendary sermon by Oral Roberts. And Oral, we're all going to miss you, man.
It's a sad day in America.
It really is. Okay. Much love from the Young Turks.